The Harry Potter series has a lot of plot twists, and for some reason, I feel like people never talk about them. I put together a list of 30 plot twists, and in this video, we are going to rank them from worst to best. Honestly though, I feel like I shouldn't say worst. Instead, we'll say from the least interesting to the most interesting. Make sure you stay till the end of the video to find out what I think is the best plot twist in the 7 novels. Also, if you enjoy this video, hit that like button. It will greatly help the channel with the algorithm. And if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button, and you can also follow me on all of my other social medias, all of which are linked down below, and all of which house similar content that I make here on this channel. Now that I've said that, let's get into it. At number 30, I have the plot twist that Dobby belonged to the Malfoy family. This one had to be last because it was the most obvious by far. The book literally says that this might be the case the chapter right after Dobby's appearance, so finding this out was pretty underwhelming. At number 29, I have the plot twist that Mrs. Fig is a squib. We simply heard about Mrs. Fig in the first book but never met her. The first time we actually meet her character is when the plot twist that she was a squib is dropped on us. To me, it was an oh moment, because it had very little build up compared to others on this list. Number 28, I have the plot twist that Bathilda Bagshot was not really Bathilda Bagshot. Like the one before it, this had very little build up because it happened so quickly. The only reason it's above the Mrs. Fig plot twist is because it was more shocking due to how terrifying it was. At number 27, I have the plot twist that Sybil Trelawney was the one who told the prophecy about Harry and Voldemort. Considering she's literally the only seer in the series, this wasn't much of a stretch. To be honest, I think the bigger twist was that she wasn't actually a fraud, which this prophecy confirmed after we had a little bit of suspicion from the one she foretold in The Prisoner of Azkaban. At number 26, I have the plot twist of why Nymphadora Tonks was depressed. Throughout book 6, we saw Tonks be depressed for pretty much the whole novel, but we weren't told why until the very end, the reason being because she was in love with Lupin and he refused to be with her. One of the reasons why this is lower on the list is because it's not super important to the main plot. This was like the 5th side story in the Half-Blood Prince, so it just doesn't take much priority. For number 25, I chose the plot twist that Hagrid was a giant. I mean, we kind of assumed this from the beginning. In a world with trolls, goblins, elves, centaurs, and so many other mythical creatures, there was bound to be giants, and Hagrid being 8 feet and 6 inches in the novels, there was no way he was fully human. With that being said though, getting the confirmation of this, and in the way that we got it with the scandalous article, it made it be above the 5 that came before it in my list. At number 24, I have the plot twist that Snape told Voldemort the prophecy. Getting this information was very upsetting, especially for Harry. To be honest, I think this would have been higher on the list if we were looking at it from Harry's point of view, because for him, it came out of nowhere. However, the readers at the time had the information that Snape had been working for Voldemort the whole time, or so we thought, and we'll touch on that later. To me though, this was more of a moment that was like, it makes sense, but dang, that's really disappointing, rather than being a huge shocker that changes everything. At number 23, I have the plot twist that the eye in the mirror was Aberforth. Throughout the 7th book, Harry looks in the broken two-way mirror and sees what he thinks is Dumbledore's eye looking back at him. Dumbledore being dead at this point, it obviously wasn't him, but to be fair, I didn't expect it to be his brother, which is why it's ranked above everything that came before it. It surprised me a bit more than those did. At number 22, I have the plot twist that Albus Dumbledore had a relationship with Gellert Grindelwald. This was a secondary plot, and honestly maybe even less than that with how much was going on in the final book, but because it was so minor, it had to be ranked lower. But I definitely think it was a bigger twist than the eye in the mirror, which I obviously ranked behind this one. Number 21. For this one, I have the plot twist that Petunia Dursley wanted to be a witch. This was a shocking one for sure, but the reason why it missed out on the top 20 is because, well, it makes sense. There is a reason Petunia despises her sister, the wizarding world, and anything to do with magic. She's jealous. I remember the first time I read this twist in the Deathly Hallows, I was like, it makes sense. So yeah, as I said, that made it miss out on the top 20 for me. Reaching the top 20, I have the plot twist that Remus Lupin is a werewolf. This was a major twist for sure, and it absolutely belongs above everything that came before it, but there was a lot of evidence for this plot twist. From my own personal experience, I remember reading this book for the first time with my grandmother as we switched off for each page, and she spoke Latin, and she told me that Lupin was derived from lupus in Latin, which means wolf, and also that Remus was the name of one of the two children that was raised by a wolf. Then, as soon as we got to the part where Snape taught a lesson on werewolves, we put it together. So I guess I kinda got spoiled, but not really, because going past the name, it was pretty laid out if you really paid attention. There's the mysterious potion that Snape makes him, there's the fact that Lupin leaves for being ill while no professors bat an eye at his absence, and a few others as well, but you get the point. I know a lot of people might rank it higher, but to me, it definitely deserves to be in the top 20, but because there were so many clues to it, not any higher than that. At number 19, I have the plot twist that James Potter, Remus Lupin, Sirius Black, and Peter Pettigrew were the Marauders. The Marauders were mentioned a ton in the third book, so there was a lot of mystery and intrigue behind them. We had heard them be called the Manufacturers and got the clue that Lupin knew them personally. It was a tiny bit transparent when you look at that moment with Lupin, which is why it isn't ranked higher than it is, but it still deserves to be ranked above everything that came before it because it was a really great reveal. At number 18, I have the plot twist that James Potter was a bully. We had heard nothing but good things about James for 4.5 books, but all of that changed when we got to the chapter Snape's Worst Memory. It really was a surprise to learn that the James we thought we knew, the James that both we and Harry had pictured for years, was not the man we thought he was. The reason it's not higher though is because, well, Snape told us. Obviously we just brushed his insults about James off, but with the amount it came up, it definitely stuck in the back of our brains. There was one moment in The Prisoner of Azkaban where I was like, that's not a great look for James. I'm of course talking about when Snape told Harry the reason why James saved his life, which was not as heroic as Dumbledore made it seem to be. Number 17, I have the plot twist that Sirius Black was innocent. Throughout the third book, we heard about how dangerous Sirius Black was, so it was a revelation when the truth came out about his innocence. He went from a despised character to one you immediately latch onto. At number 16, I have the plot twist that the voice Harry was hearing was a basilisk. I feel like we're now moving toward the plot twist that I just didn't see coming, and the voice Harry was hearing was one of those things. I had no idea what the voice was until the very second it was revealed, and boy oh boy did that deliver. Reaching the top 15, I have the plot twist that Hermione was time traveling throughout the whole third book. Ron and Harry constantly see Hermione disappear, and Ron is super hung up on how Hermione was getting to her classes. I had no idea how they were going to explain this the first time I read the book, and time travel was the last thing I expected. This twist definitely deserves to be in the top 15. At number 14, I have the plot twist that the Triwizard Cup was a portkey. This is one of those twists that happens and then it's immediately revealed, which I took points off of for a few others on this list, but this one led to so much confusion that it deserves to be this high on the list. I had no idea where they ended up after touching the cup. With the lack of a crowd and the fact that they were in a graveyard, the first time I read this, I was like, oh my god, it's another part of the Triwizard Tournament. But then when it's revealed that the cup was a portkey, my heart dropped, knowing the danger was coming. It went from Harry and Cedric winning together to the plot twist that no, they're about to die. Number 13. For this one, I have the plot twist that R.A.B. is Sirius's brother. I had no clue who R.A.B. was going to end up being, and when the trio figured it out, I was so surprised. To find out that Regulus was a hero who defected from the Death Eaters rather than a coward who had chickened out and been killed for it was a shock in itself. But then to find out that on top of that, he had learned about Voldemort's Horcrux, something only Dumbledore had been able to do, it pushed this up on the list because this plot twist was a huge game changer. At number 12, I have the plot twist that Tom Riddle is Lord Voldemort. First of all, the way this was revealed with Tom switching the letters of his name to write out I am Lord Voldemort, it was iconic. But backtracking a bit, throughout the second book, we learn that Tom Riddle was the saint of a student. Top of his class, head boy, beloved by most professors, and with this resume, this was the last person you would expect to be the evil Lord Voldemort. This made it a truly shocking twist the first time I read this book. At number 11, I have the plot twist that Harry was the owner of the Elder Wand. There were so many twists and turns with the most powerful wand in the world. People dying to get it, Dumbledore being the previous owner, the fact that it went all the way to the previous book with Draco on the Astronomy Tower, and the fact that Draco Malfoy was the owner of the most powerful wand in the world without even knowing it. The plot brilliantly had us driven off course with Voldemort's conquest for the wand, which of course makes for an even better plot twist, because everything we thought we knew became pointless, instead being replaced by something we never saw coming. Reaching the top 10, I have the plot twist that Ginny Weasley opened the Chamber of Secrets. To be honest, the first time I read this book, I had no clue who was opening the chamber, especially after the trio ruled out Malfoy. So finding out that it was Ginny had me shook. At number 9, I have the plot twist that Snape not only loved Lily, but was really good friends with her. Obviously, before the Prince's Tale chapter, the only thing we knew about Snape and Lily's relationship was that Snape called her a mudblood when she tried to stand up for him. So learning their entire timeline and the fact that they were super close was a real shocker. And then to find out, even decades later, that Snape still loved Lily, it was another crazy plot twist. At number 8, I have the plot twist that Rita Skeeter was an animagus. This is one of the few times I'm going to elevate a semi-minor plot line, because this twist surprised me more than almost anything else in the series. We obviously knew that Dumbledore banned Rita from the grounds, yet she was still somehow listening in on private conversations between Hermione and Krum, Hagrid and Maxime, and was even in a classroom when Harry fell over in his divination class. This was a plotline that I latched onto so hard the first time reading this book. I put so much thought into how she was doing it, and the last thing I expected was that she was an illegal animagus. Like, that is just so out there. At number 7, I have the plot twist that Severus Snape was the Half-Blood Prince. Who the Half-Blood Prince really was up there as one of the biggest questions I had in the series, just narrowly beating out how Rita was getting her stories in the 4th book. The prince turned into this person that Harry became obsessed with, who he trusted more than anyone, and who he thought was a great wizard. To find out that this person that Harry idolized was one of his worst enemies, it was a dagger stuck right in Harry's back, especially because he found this out moments after he murdered Dumbledore. At number 6, I have the plot twist that Quirinius Quirrell had Voldemort on the back of his head, and that he was the one after the Philosopher's Stone. This is the OG plot twist, and to this day is still one of the best. Everything pointed to the fact that Snape was behind everything, from his leg injury from Fluffy, to him muttering jinxes when Harry's broom was going crazy, and even to Harry hearing Quirrell be threatened, which he thought was by Snape when it was really by Voldemort. For readers to be that misled, which I think almost every first-time reader was, it shows just how good this plot twist really was. Reaching the top 5, I have the plot twist that Snape was actually good. After seeing Snape kill Dumbledore, finding out that he was the one who took George's ear off, learning that he served Voldemort for many years, and getting pretty much all of the evidence in the world pointing to the fact that he was a bad guy, finding out that he was really good all along, in one of the most complicated ways I might add, it made this be one of the greatest plot twists on this list. For that, it deserves to be placed in the top 5. Reaching the top 4, I have the plot twist that Scabbers the Rat was really a man named Peter Pettigrew. Scabbers was Ron's pet for 3 whole books, and why would you think he was anything other than an ordinary rat? That's why this plot twist is so high up. It is the most ridiculous, the most wild, and the most out there thing I have ever read in a book. No one would ever see this coming. And looking back at every interaction with Scabbers before finding this out, it makes it so creepy and uncomfortable knowing that Ron is cuddling up with a grown man. There was of course that line from Ron where he was like, "Ew, I let you sleep in my bed." Reaching the top 3, I have the plot twist that Mad-Eye Moody was really Barty Crouch Jr. Like the Scabbers reveal, this was something that would never even cross my mind. Like, you would never see this coming, which makes it even more shocking. This plot twist also came with several other smaller plot twists, like how Barty Crouch Sr. died, who cast the Dark Mark in the sky at the Quidditch World Cup, how the Dark Mark was cast by Harry's wand, where Bertha Jorkins went, and honestly, so much more. Looking at how large and how important this twist was, it makes it deserve to be in the top 3. At number 2, I have the plot twist of Snape killing Albus Dumbledore. This is one of, if not the most shocking moment in the entirety of the 7 books. We knew that Snape was a Death Eater, or at least we thought we knew, but we never thought he would do something as bad as killing Dumbledore himself. And getting past just Snape's part in this, just the fact that the all-powerful, the untouchable headmaster, the greatest wizard in the world was actually dead, it was a moment that made my mouth hit the floor the first time I read this novel. As shocking as that was though, we still have one more above it. Finally, at number 1, I have the plot twist that outdoes all of the other plot twists, and that is finding out that Harry is a Horcrux. This, like Dumbledore's death, was a shattering revelation, but even more so here because this was the end of the main character's life, the boy that we had been following for 7 years, seeing him grow up. When Harry was actually struck with the killing curse by Voldemort, it was one of the most shocking, thrilling, and questioning moments. For that, it deserves to be the number 1 plot twist in Harry Potter. That's my opinion though. Let me know in the comments below what you think of all of my picks and my rankings. And if you disagree, comment your own. I'm excited to see what you have to say. Start some conversations, guys, reply to people, and just have fun with it. That's all I have for you guys today though, so I will see you in the next video.